We got a Zerg versus Protoss on Satellite Years, the best of fives, quarterfinal from the Wardy Team Liquid map tournament, something like that. On the bottom right, it is going to be T1. T1 is awesome. herO. In the top left, it is Basilisk Reynor, who was in Korea, I believe. Yes, at the time of this, I think that's why he's on Basilisk Korea anyway, so that's a good note. But he left for Korea, I think, last week. Time is a real concept, though. But yeah, why is he in Korea, you might ask? That's usually what people ask. What people ask every single time any foreigner ever goes to Korea. Because they're hoping to hear that maybe there's foreigners participating in GSL, or there's a foreigner team house, or there's like a show match happening. And for the last 10 years, I would say 90% of the time, the answer is they like Korea. Do they also play in GSL when it happens? Do they also get some practice on the Korean ladder? Yes, those are all true, but a lot of the times it's not the main reason to go. It's because Korea is awesome. And that is why Reynor is there. But it also means that he can face herO without the annoyances of ping. And these two actually are... I don't think they've really been built up storyline-wise as a rival. Because maybe their tournaments, the biggest tournaments we have, well, there's so few of them now, womp womp. But also, the ones we did have, they weren't always the ones facing each other. It felt like it was a budding rivalry. It was happening a decent amount of times, maybe like 2 years ago, yeah? And so it was kind of becoming a thing. But then it kind of fell off. Probably because premier tournaments fell off and all that good stuff. But there was a time where they were constantly back and forth. 3-2 Reynor, 3-2 herO, 3-2 Reynor, 3-1 herO, 3-0 Reynor, you know. And it was really fun as well. You know, it was a time where herO was using a lot of his, you know, mass gateway strategies, and Reynor was going for obviously a lot of Ling-based stuff, and Banelings were still in the matchup in a big way, which might not have been super cool for Protosses around the world with their Baneling, their probes getting killed by Banelings, but was actually one of the more fun, explosive metas of ZVP, and I'm hoping that actually makes a comeback. It was a good time. At the end of it, though, I guess maybe Reynor was just being beat by herO, but I still felt like it was close and really fun to watch. Don't know what happened in the last 6 months, if I'm being honest with you, between the scores between these two. And I don't want to check a League Lack if it spoils this one. So, you guys can figure that one on your own. But I guess at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that even if one person wins a lot more than the other, even if ZVP overall doesn't feel like that fun of a matchup sometimes, I feel like these two, the way that they play as unique individuals, always creates fun games. And it's also going to be probably even more chaotic and fun because it's going to be on new maps. New to us, not as new to these guys who have been playing in this tournament for, you know, days. I think this tournament lasted about 2 weeks. So they are familiar with it, but not as intimately familiar as ladder maps. So far, very standard openers, by the way. Nothing too noteworthy. Oracle number 1 is on the way. Oracle number 2 is stacked behind it. They got a handful of adepts being created. Third base seems normal enough to grab, although quite a good concave for the Zerg. That's a little scary for any Zerg timings, I guess. I don't know. This is just the brush, apparently, with this doodad. But on the map, this looks like this is like some type of like comic cartoon kapow. You know what I mean? Image. Am I the only one who sees that? It's like bright yellow and red. And it's like kapow. Anyway, it's just the brush, apparently. Don't know why it's called Satellite Years either. Are there a lot of satellites? Possibly. Oracle number 1 doesn't die, and that is the most important thing, but it took a hell of a lot of damage and did very little damage in turn. Behind this, double Oracle opener, Twilight Council, and Forge, so nothing particularly aggressive from herO, who I don't think got... I mean, he got enough of a scout with the Oracle. It was so busy trying to live, though. You too want to keep tabs on what's coming out on the front, too. And that's something that herO is now doing. Oracle and Adepts buddying up for Adepts. Not the scariest amount, but just enough, really, to take control of the outer edge of creep with the help of the Oracle. And if they get close enough to the drones, they might shade. This is actually a Still have a little move, try and get to the close, the third base. Now they're forced to shade away, however. The Oracle can't help them anymore, and that might have been too overly aggressive. In fact, it was 100% though. Oracle is like, at least he can get a stasis trap. Yeah, can he though? Yeah, I mean, herO was awfully aggressive there. Kind of saw like how close the Adepts were to the third, you know, moved him in. I could definitely see the situation working favorably for him, but not that time. Fourth base on the way. I mean, the more I think about it, the more that it probably wasn't a good idea in general. But fourth base on the way for Reynor, who is already just at so many drones. Good lord, he's already at 70 almost. Of course, he's getting gases as I speak, but the point is he's almost at 70. Having taken just 2 drones with the damage to all the harassment, significantly injuring one of the 2 oracles, and killing all 4 adepts without them doing anything to him. It's a wonderful start for Reynor. herO, it's not the worst start as in now he loses. GG, no re. It's more just like, that probably could have gone better for me. But back at home, 3 bases, 6 gases, getting up to, I thought I saw the Templar Archives. Yes, I did. And, you know, I think we're all kind of waiting more so to see what the dynamic is between Protoss and Zerg, Storm, and Ling Hydra, apparently. herO actually throws out just Zealots. And I say that in such a tone because it really feels like a random-ass thing here. But random-ass things and working, you know, that's herO, I suppose. This one, I'm not really sure I'm going to say works. It's going to cost a lot of Lings to take care of it, as that +1 was done for the Zealots. I mean, this is why, as much as it seems random, because it's just like, Zealots, go! It isn't. There's an idea behind it. With +1 done, a Ling-based Zerg defense, you think you're going to potentially get really good engagements, especially if the Zealots got any type of nook and cranny. Those Lings would have struggled, even if they had +1 melee in turn. Banelings were forming, and that also would have helped, but you can see how that could have worked. I don't think it really did. herO does manage to pull back some of the Zealots, but not the, not like the perfect timing, kind of shock value Zealots that they can be. Fourth Nexus almost looked like it was off place for a second. That made me do a double take, because I was expecting it over here. But instead of taking the full base, takes the half base, but with Rich Vespian Geyser. I would say the other benefit of taking this base, though, is the Zealots once again get surrounded, so these Zealots just a little less than ideal. They're like they're feeling like the B team Zealots right now, even though they have the upgrade. Ire sent the B team. Anyway, the other benefit taking the fourth Nexus here is that this is going to be really close to the ramp, so you can get the storms on the ramp. And I like that actually a lot. What I don't like is the significant lack of Protoss army I'm looking at right here. There is just storms. Reynor, of course, is going to try and take this engagement, pushing his way through those storms. herO does have some reinforcements now, and he does have a storm in his back pocket. And that was very, very scary. Fortunately, storm does last a decent amount of time. But I like that Reynor continues to move in. He notices, he sees that this is very storm dependent, and eventually storms will deplete. Recharge unavailable anymore either. Forced turn the Archons, but more Zealots were created. Oracle even comes in to help out, and this might just be enough for herO to send Reynor packing. Banelings form up, clear out some of the Zealots, but now we got Archons, now we got a Warp Prism, and now Reynor is the one on the run. Does grab the Oracle at the last second. Queens are pulled to the front lines, gonna try and help out. And in turn, that might be just enough for Reynor. And that was precarious. Reynor forcing the issue, I think, was very understandable. And herO just barely making the defense work is commendable. Rhyming. You good caster. Now the Archons, all healthy, in fact, now, too. You know, sometimes you see those desperation Archons, the ones that are like, I got nothing else to do! And then they just get popped immediately. Well, now you have 4 Archons, healthy as can be, replacing the storms, building up the Zealot count. This is all while herO did add on a Fleet Beacon, and just the Fleet Beacon, actually, not the Stargate. But still, he added the Fleet Beacon, he's getting to the Mothership, which is really quite painful for Reynor, who might have hoped that that was still a close enough battle that his opponent hasn't been able to afford anything but surviving. Banelings on the backside is a nice touch, and they are close to getting to the High Templars, but not quite. So many Hydras having to run away. They're still going into this choke after all. And every time it seems like it could just be enough for the Zerg, there's always one more storm. Isn't that always how it is? There's always one more storm. Banelings crash into a Zealot run by that looks to be fairly ineffective. It kind of looked like they were queued on the gas geyser, so they made sure to kill that. But not too much else. 80 drones, 73 probes, 5 bases to 4. Reynor, with relentless Ling Hydra Baneling aggression, has not added on an Infestation Pit. He is kind of all-inning at this point. Like, this really needs to work. If herO is able to add on more carriers, for instance, more, he hasn't even gotten 1. If he adds on carriers, gets to 3 or 4, which I don't think he would go carriers, actually, in this case, with so many Hydras, but the point stands, herO's kind of moving on with the game. He is upgrading his technology. He is getting to a better ground Protoss army with upgrades as well, and this just is going to outpace Reynor's army eventually. But Reynor has tenacity, and he has the Swarm that is going to try and break through this. Comes in on the right ramp. At least he's going to be able to grab the Nexus. No cancel. A couple of High Templars go down too, but herO is pushing. That's not going to be an actual push. Yeah, I was wondering if he was going to just sack this base and go for the push because he thinks there's an opportune moment. Decides not to, but I feel like that's where we're getting to. But this is now timer on Reynor. herO is clearly not going to simply buckle under the Ling Hydra pressure, which means eventually he's going to realize he can get out on the map. And while Storms are a little less effective versus Banelings as far as their burst, you know, when a Storm gets slapped down, how much damage it immediately does, I feel like people who are worried about its effectiveness versus Banelings are maybe a little dramatic. I still think, you know, because it's never Storms in isolation, which is what so many of like these like, you know, proof Storm's bad gifts are. It's never Storm in isolation. It never should be Storm in isolation. It's Storm plus Archons plus Immortals plus Zealots plus Stalkers, and I think they'll be totally fine. Reynor knows that a direct confrontation wouldn't go extremely well for him, so he's trying to keep the Protoss down to 4 bases, and trying to maybe get one hell of a surround. Mitigate the Storm damage as much as possible. Perhaps that surround could happen, not so much. Kind of looked like he was prepping for it, but then more Protoss army was on the backside too. Going to be forced to evacuate this base and then do other things, you know, while waiting for herO to move into his army. He's going to segment off a portion, go for the 4th base, having repeatedly denied the 5th. Now really hitting herO's economy quite hard, but still not hitting herO's army. Classic ZVP dilemma right here. I might have taken down some of your economy, but can I take on the army? Storms get slapped down, Archons on the front line, Banelings trying to connect with the High Templars, just shy of doing so. Big moment right there. Lots of damage jumped to the 2 players, but at the end of the day, Reynor's supply stays lower than herO's. He also used a lot of sacrificial units. Obviously, the Banelings all went down, the Lings all melted, whereas herO did manage to save High Templars, did save Archons, and saved a heck of a lot of Immortals. I mean, Immortals actually kind of feel funny against Ling Baneling Hydra, which they do no extra damage to. But now that we have turned into Lurkers, now Immortals feel freaking fantastic. This actually feels like there was no other choice. There's not really a lot that Reynor can do. How late he was getting into the late game, how much he emphasized the mid-game aggression. He barely ekes out a Hive. What else can he really get that's going to change the dynamic other than Lurkers? And there's not any answer there. But Lurkers still don't feel great, because they're being built into someone who's already prepared for them. And they don't have their upgrades. They don't have their upgrades. We never got range? Interesting. Anyway, the Lurkers might be able to hold in the choke. But we have Reynor slapped back down to just 3 bases. herO might be only mining from 3 bases right now, as his 4th and 5th are denied. But he does have a 4th and 5th Nexus. And again, his army remains intact, so he doesn't have to replace both economy and army, which Reynor does. Reynor has to replace both, and he can't right now. Lurkers managed to get their range upgrade, but not their speed burrow. It was the Hydra's missing their upgrade that I was talking about. Could have been a big mistake. This seems like a pretty one-sided affair. As long as the Observer is alive, and it still is. Oracle's also available, and yes, it was a one-sided affair. GG's. Lurkers, as I said, we're already kind of countered, but then you give them that much space to try and cover. Ain't happening. GG's. herO takes game 1. Every time I see someone not get a second Hydra upgrade, I have to triple check myself about what patch we're in. I don't know why. We've been in a patch that has separated the Hydra upgrades for like years at this point. But like, I don't know, my brain doesn't want to remember that. We're on to Ruby Rock, a new map for me. Top left, herO, bottom right, Reynor. This is there is a map that had a lot of red on it. Redshift, first of all, but not the map I was thinking of. And there was this really bad map. No one wanted to play on it. And it was full of rocks and red palette. That's as much as I can give you. And it was a ladder map, and again, no one played on it. It's giving me some vibes. Anyway, other than the terrain, the textures, what do we got? Natural, third, fourth, or maybe this could be the third? Drone, by the way? You should probably highlight that. Wait a second. Oh, no. Okay. Never mind. I reversed the spawn positions. That was just trying to take as natural. Never mind. Nothing important. Back to the map. Nothing. Okay, so no rich Vespian or gold. No shrines or interesting rocks. Which it feels like every map that we've seen between today and yesterday's Open Cup, there have been no doodads, as I call them. I wonder why. I for one, was looking forward to more experimentation with Zerg rocks and healing shrines and whatever else they could think of. I was wanting more of that, not completely getting rid of them. Oh, well. So it seems like, some interesting battle dynamics maybe in the middle with this. And then you got rocks breaking down there. I don't know, it seems pretty normal. If I had to pick a favorite map, it was the last series, that small, skinny map. I liked that one. But I have no say in any of the choice. Even if they had asked me, which I think they did ask me years ago if I wanted to be a panelist. Yeah, like a judge. I said no. I might have said yes once and then like never got around to it and I felt bad. But after I said no, I don't think I was asked again. I think I just admitted I didn't want to be on it. I don't want that. I don't want that pressure. Adept opener into Stalker this time. Very slight difference, but can be important. Still a Stargate opener, but what comes out of the Stargate? Reynor's natural was successfully denied. He had to take it at a third. And that's just an annoyance. Not sure it's going to be abused. Sometimes some maps work out in a way. I think, you know, how big the choke is in the natural, how far away the third is from the natural. Some maps work out in a way that the Protoss really wants to deny the natural, force them to take this as a third, and then they follow up with Adepts. But I feel like it hasn't been the case in a while. This block just adds a lot of delay on the mining. But it would feel especially painful on maps you're maybe not familiar with. Reynor did make enough lings to take care of 2 Adepts, of which were built, you know, a single Stalker, sure, but it seems like it was just to clear out this Overlord. Which it will not. Well, no, he doesn't want to go for the Stalker. I mean, well, you want to save the Overlord, but then the Oracle, you know, kills the Stalker. You want to save the Overlord, but the Oracle is taking the Stalker, so it's gonna have to be forfeit. Or will it? Or will it? herO reacts very quickly to stop the Stalker from being surrounded, and that Overlord is 100% dead. But Reynor got so much advance notice that he's not at all supply blocked. Lings might have also thought about going after me, like the Pylon or the Adept. So far, herO is handling Lings running around every which direction very well. And is warping in just a couple of extra Adepts, but this is what he did last time. You know, last game, his Oracles were kind of a bit of a failure, I suppose. They didn't die, so fail is a strong word, but they didn't do very much else. And then they didn't end up helping the Adepts that were very, very aggressive. Surround the heroes, once again denied from doing any direct drone damage. But will Hero move out with the Adepts again? A third Oracle was made, okay. It's like 2 had become a standard. 6 Adepts. Covered by potentially 2 Oracles at the least. This Oracle might stay at home to deflect any Lings. Speaking of which, +1 melee, once again the call here for Reynor. But he also adds on a Roach Warren, so not going into those Hydras. I mean, if there's a possibility of this being Resident Enclaves, and it actually is going to be Resident Enclaves. Hydras might be coming out a little too late. Queen and Drone going to be in stasis. The Adepts, though, far more important. Head right into the main base. But it doesn't seem to be the opportunity that Hero truly wanted. Is going to recall them out. Save them for something else. Which is probably the right call. Although that did look like they were going to have some free reign in the main. Still probably didn't like what he saw. +1 melee only halfway done. Roach Warren is done. Are we going to actually build into those roaches? Reynor scouting limited. Otherwise, lair only just begun at around 6 minutes. And the Oracle is going to be able to scout the lair timing, sure, but also the composition. Where the armies are as the Adepts prep their attack. Which direction they want to enter into. It does seem to be quite, I don't want to say an open field for the Adepts, but the Adepts can get so close to the natural and into the main as well with their shade without being seen, because the creep traders are limited. Having to go and connect the 3rd base and then looking to connect the 4th as the priority means that the Adepts are not seen as they come in from this direction. They might not be seen coming from this direction either until the very last second, as those Lings were pushed back by the Oracles, and here comes so many Adepts. +1 melee will be done, but that is not nearly enough Lings, and the Roaches have only just begun. Reynor did not know this was on the way. They also take the engagement just before +1 melee was done. Oh my god. Oh no. +1 melee could have killed probably 4 or 5 more of these Adepts, honestly. That is so heartbreaking. Hero gonna deal a lot of damage. He already has killed so many Lings that do have to be replaced, thus taken away from more drones. Reynor was already at a very healthy drone count, to be fair. He's already above 70. Which is part of the reason he's struggling right now. But he has lost 11. Might be losing more as the 3rd base, yep, is under attack. There you go, up to 18 killed. 26 Adepts! Good lord, Hero just continues to make them. Sees the opportunity to win with them, I guess. You know, he could move on to building Stalkers and staying at home. But he's not doing that. He's like, I'm going to win. And he's absolutely right. GG. Hero, 2-0. A little Adept attack that Reynor was not expecting. I can't believe that +1 wasn't done. Would it have saved Reynor? I'm not so sure. It still is painful for that timing to happen. And we got another new map here as Blizzard decides to patch. Or did my internet fail? Seems like the stream's still up. So we're gonna see what that is after I exit this replay. It's gonna kick me out of StarCraft. Okie dokie. Well, moving on from that, we do have top right of Tormaline. Tormaline. I don't know what that is. Tormaline is a group of mineral species. Boron is compounded with elements such as aluminum. Okay, it's a real word, is what it is. Pronunciation. Tormaline. Thanks, Google. We're on Tormaline. Top right, Reynor. Bottom left is Hero. Is all the safe house prep done? Really, I mean, no. But the amount of work that I can do from here, yes. We're gonna have to set everything up when I'm actually in Vegas. Buy groceries, set up cameras, figure out, you know, casting setups. Configure stream decks, all that good stuff to be done out in the actual studio. not actually a studio, but that's what we're gonna call it. We probably will have a light problem, but on the, you know, scale of things, on the list of things that I truly care about, proper lighting is very low. Because in order to get proper lighting, you need to make sure that you just don't have any natural light, which is extremely difficult to do. By the way, what was with this opener? I didn't think there was anything interesting to talk about, but herO High Ground Gateway? I don't think I missed a drone, did I? What's up with that? Interesting. Now I'm suspicious. Did I actually miss a drone? I don't... Even you know, like one drone appearing does not result in a high ground gateway. And the high ground, because the pylon has to be put up here first, so it's like that wouldn't even be a reaction to a drone. Like, there's no way anything would have happened. Like, he just went for a high ground gateway. What is this? What year is this? What are you doing? What's going on? Was it a Nexus first? I gotta look. I'm too curious. No, what the... That's very interesting. Okay, well, I'm sure initially Reynor was like, what the hell? And the Stalker popped out. The Overlord has a safe location. Extra gateways are coming down too, which now I'm really taking that in. He's 3-gating? What is happening? Can't even finish what I was talking about. This game is too interesting because herO is flipping weird. He's going into a Stargate now. He's fully walled off. Okay. I don't get it. I don't get it, but it's happening. Reynor just takes a third. That's completely normal. Hallucination, you know, gets a lot of scouting done. Doesn't really feel necessary to get the sentry this fast in this matchup, when you consider the Oracle is a fantastic unit that comes pretty swiftly. And you know, the way that you get scouting done without a sentry before the Oracle is with the probe first, then the Adept, which is possible in every single game. So this is something special, clearly. He's warping in from his 3 gateways as well. Reynor saw that it was 2 extra gateways on top of what was definitely a gateway in the main. And he figures it's a Stargate. That's a good call. He's building spores. I gotta believe he's about as confused as I am. I wonder if he's also making sure that he doesn't die to Dark Shrine. But it's Adepts, which he now sees. Not a lot to defend against this, but then the Adepts go on a ramp, so they're not hitting anything important. Queens are close by, adding in their little bits of damage, and this isn't threatening the drones immediately, so this really isn't the worst Adept attack for Reynor. More Adepts are on the way, but they decide not to because the Adepts had to shade out. I'm just gonna be stuck being confused. What I was trying to say before all this confusion was that if you want to have proper lighting, you have to have an actual studio, and that is to say that a place that is designed with as little natural light as possible. And if there is natural light, then all natural light is blocked out, which, yeah, it's a very specific thing. There's a lot of Adepts. Now with Resident Enclaves, of course. Just 10 good old-fashioned Adepts off of a 3 gateway opener. Third Nexus is being built, or third Oracle is being built too. Twilight Council and a Forge. Feels like we're back on track. Reynor pumped out about a dozen drones. Unfortunately, didn't quite get enough lings. Drones, some of them go down anyway. Maybe not too bad. Drones were pulled into the fight as well. Adepts are getting awfully low from taking the fight with the lings. 8 drones go down in total, make that 9. And that is going to be it. That sends Reynor down to 50 drones compared to his opponent's 49, but he made a good call as the engagement was happening. He didn't excess build lings. He didn't panic and overmake lings. He was building drones as the Adepts shaded in almost. So he actually is already back up by about 8 drones. Whereas herO, you know, I mean, this economy's fine. It's just it's such a weird opener. I don't quite get it. I can't tell you exactly what is different. I've never looked at the graph this early and been like, well, aha, the Protoss should absolutely have this much differential. But I can't believe that opener was the most efficient possible. Blink and +1 are on the way, so is Templar Archives. herO is now divvied up some Adepts, just going for a little bit of harassment and scouting. 4th base is done for Reynor. 5th on the way. Might be denied, might not. Nah, it's not denied. Ling Hydra. Roaches are also possible. Let's see if he actually builds into them. He's building the upgrades, so you'd think so, but we'll see. The 5th, rather, might have to be canceled. Yeah, Oracles and Stalkers are on the way. These Stalkers are seconds away from having Blink, but the Oracles are meant to protect them until then anyway, and that's a hatchery. Yeah, just has to be canceled. Nothing to do about it. But that wasn't the 4th. The 4th is up and will be able to receive the drones, of which Reynor is very much making. He scouts the 3 base setup with the 6 gases being taken. He figures that means there won't be an incredible amount of aggression coming in from the Stalkers, and there isn't. There's no Proxy Gateway, there's no War Prism. It's not that many Stalkers. Not only adding on those drones he needs for the 4th base, but also adding on the Infestation Pit. As he skips building roaches because he can. Oracles grab a couple of drones and do manage to survive. Speed is remembered this time, range and speed. Yeah, you know, the more I think about it, the more that game 1, I feel like Reynor might have won if he had had range on his upgrade, on his Hydras. He just had the speed, which, you know, you got to choose one or the other first and foremost, but I think eventually adding on that range might have done the ticket. It was very close for a while. But now he has range first. So, storms do come down. He will not be able to dodge out as easily. He's got to really respect him. I mean, you always have to respect him. Storm is near completion. There it is, with Storm available. Reynor will not be breaking into that 4th base anytime soon. Hive is on the way. Lurkden is on the way. Big critical difference between this and the last time we saw a Hive is that this is not a last-second Hive. Hey, well, my plan A didn't work out. Let's go to plan B. He's going to be getting to Lurkers long before herO takes a super lead. There are no Immortals on the field. There's not even a Robo. There certainly is not going to be Tempest on the way or inner carriers on the way. Just a good old-fashioned Stalker Storm, which the Lurkers would massacre if we had Lurkers. Not quite there yet. Storms are here, but this is a good setup. This is a great setup, actually, for Reynor. Comes on the backside as well. Still split away from the Storms on the right, but more Lings even spill forth, taking advantage of very limited army composition. No Zealots, just the Storms. The Storms are gone. Those Stalkers are super vulnerable. And now the Lurkers are going to form. Bad news for herO, whose attack just got slapped in the face. And now Lurkers will be able to not just form, but also get right on top of his base. Right on up there. He's trying to get to Tempest now, but it's a bit late. The Lurkers will be doing a lot of damage. They don't need their upgrades for this particular position. Well, they are getting to their range. One Lurker almost snipes to get to started, but not quite. And the rest of the Lurkers do burrow up. The Transfuse went down on it too. I do like herO's emergency response, just adding in these cannons, hoping to buy time. And they are doing a little bit of time buying, but he's already out of storms. He's almost out of army, and Reynor can just sit here with the Lurkers for the most part. Commend herO for trying to get the snipes when possible, but not quite able to stop the numbers. I mean, he's killed 3 so far. Make that 4. Another Transfuse. Try to save the 5th. Not quite. But every time he goes in to snipe a Lurker, he does take a lot of damage on his Stalkers. Hydras, meanwhile, were ripping through the probes. As herO's Stalkers are busy elsewhere. Reynor continuing just to rally in here, rebuild those Lurkers, rebuild the Hydras, continue with the upgrades. And he has clearly taken a significant lead in this game. herO's desperately trying to get to a mothership. Maybe a cloak could push Reynor away for a couple of seconds. He's also getting to a 5th, so herO's trying to keep in mind, you know, the rest of the game. But he's probably going to lose it right here and now. One more storm. Great split from Reynor. Now an 80 supply lead for the Zerg. Nexus is going to fall. This was such an odd game. It turned into a relatively normal game. But what an odd opener from herO. I mean, he didn't even play Wings of Liberty. Or maybe he played the tail end of Wings of Liberty. I forget exactly when the Kespa players moved to StarCraft 2. But he barely played Wings of Liberty. And he definitely wasn't there for the first year. I mean, by the end of Wings of Liberty, we were certainly Forge Fast expanding. Not High Ground Gate expanding. So where did he pick this up? It is herO, though. Leads to Series 2-0, decides, hey, I got a game to try something, and he tries something that's very questionable. I'm not gonna say it's why he died. The Adept follow-up also wasn't very impressive, but... Alright, GG's. Reynor takes a game, and the best of 5 ain't over yet. Game 4 is gonna be on Celestial Enclave, maybe it was? Bottom left herO, top right Reynor. Don't think herO is going to High Ground Gateway again. Don't know what the benefit of that was. I'm racking my brain, and I really can't. Maybe someone else has a good idea as to why that would be helpful, but I can't figure it out. We have seen this map before, so this is a map that has a in-base natural, but it is a half base. So it's not really something you want to take as your natural, the thing that is setting you up for the most success possible in the game of StarCraft 2, securing an actual big boy natural. But it is useful for later on. Let's say is maybe your 4th or your 5th, because it is super protected. Really, at this point in StarCraft 2, like, all the races are going to... Well, typically. Beyond did take this base, actually, as his natural in a game on this map. But I would say a lot of the races do the same thing. Zerg kind of prioritizes it the most as far as keeping the safe base for last. But I think Protoss does it, and then Terran will oftentimes do it as well. Particularly if it's going to be a half base anyway. So, don't know exactly what the mapmaker had in mind when he made it. You know, as to how this would play out. What made this interesting. But it's not just that it's a half base that makes it interesting. There's also a way for the workers to get through this. I thought you had to mine it, which it wouldn't be much to mine anyway. But actually, the workers can already go through it. This is 2 mineral fields, apparently. So that means you can scout with a worker through the backside. If I understood that interaction correctly. And I don't know, I just saw 2 SCVs go through it. And I was like, oh, okay. That means that your 4 bases could be set up like so, right? All these. And you're going to break down these rocks, as pretty much every race, eventually, to take this base. For herO, I'm going to take this as your 3rd. Reynor, Zerg seem to be taking this as their 3rd, and then this is their 4th, and then this, I don't know, 5th or 6th. Rest of the map, there is also a half base in the middle that has a rich Vespian, which would typically be the 5th base. So some experimentation with, you know, a little bit of like, okay, player's decision as to where to expand as opposed to, you know, big bright red dot that says expand here at exactly this time. Void Ray is coming out for herO. That's a big change. 2 Adept Opener into the Void Ray. And sometimes herO does something even trickier behind the Void Ray. Sometimes it is just to make a Zerg player doubt. Time will tell. Hey, State. I'm interested in what comes in after the Void Ray. herO is looking to take this as his 3rd, perhaps. Hey, I mean, I could see that. Of course. And then, as I said, this is the 4th because they can actually enter through here. Because it is very safe. But it is half. It is halfsies. So if we think of maybe a typical Protoss build that goes up to like 6 gases, for instance, suddenly you can't do that on 3 bases anymore. You'd have to reach towards your 4th to get up to 6 gases. Twilight Council and Forge are on the way. That Void Ray was followed up by an Oracle, so this was just the Void Ray to temporarily blind the Zerg and make them suspect, hey, is he doing something really weird? Reynor also grabbed this as his 3rd, which I'm a little more surprised by. The other Zergs on this map have been just taking this as their 3rd and super delaying this one. But, you know, Zerg will expand to their 4th faster than the Protoss will, so as far as the, I don't know, you'd say like the limiting half base factor, you can't get up to 6 gases, you only get to 5. You can't saturate with 70 drones, you can only saturate for however many. Like, that's limited, I suppose. It's less time the Zerg has to worry about that. But it is going to look really awkward. He's going to have, oversaturation very easily just by doing his normal build. Rock's going to be broken down as suspected. And then herO, as I said, will eventually break these down. I don't think Reynor is having a super strong reaction to the Void Ray as of yet, but he's been, awfully blind in a lot of these games. It's not really been a lot of opportunity for him to get an Overlord in and get a really great scout. His lairs have been coming down later in some games as well, so he hasn't been getting Overseers in. And there's one game in particular where that really hit him, and that was the Adept game too. But now getting a lair, finishing around 530. Roach Warren is done. No +1 melee build this time around. And herO is also doing a lot of scouting in that realm there. Should be getting to Blink. Twilight Council has been done for a while. It comes in at the same time as the Forge, and yet there's nothing on the Twilight Council. There we go. Feels like just a straight up mistake of like 30, 40 seconds. Not having Blink. Oh, Spire. So we see Spire on this a little more, apparently, now confirmed than other maps. Because I was wondering if Solar was going to do it versus Beyond in a ZVT with the hanging natural and the safe safe base. And the hanging base where mutas can come in and escape. And then Solar did it. And I was very happy to see that. And now we're going to see it in some ZVP. Problem, though, I'm looking at this, and while these Stalkers are supposed to be finishing Blink, I suspect, and they're not. Oh, okay, there's enough Lings, no problem, no worries. Ling only defense, and without any upgrades, maybe a bit concerned, as the Oracles were there usually to actually wash these guys off. But with this round happening, and herO having been so aggressive with the army, he does recall, so never mind. I was going to say the Spire, and one of the problems of going for Spire is that it is going to leave you a little less on the resources as you bank for the mutas in case the Protoss is attacking you. But momentary panic, maybe momentary adrenaline spike. Now he can go back into building those mutas. Probably didn't mean to build the roaches if he didn't require to, because 3 mutas feels like a really odd amount. The Spire is also cheaper, but I guess the attack isn't actually over, is it? More Stalkers arriving on the front lines. This time they will have Blink in 15 seconds. There's no proxy gateway. There's no Warp Prism. But there are 8 gateways. And herO is just rallying the Stalkers across the map. Grabs the 4th over to the right side, by the way, so still not breaking down these rocks, of which herO maybe was thinking about this for a 5th. Reynor will actually see that. So it's not like a super dedicated attack here from herO, but it is keeping up the pressure, going for the mass gateway style, which is very, very fun to watch. Applies a lot of pressure. 5 mutas now, still waiting to actually show themselves by the looks of things. herO is also no scouting his opponent's base. Maybe Reynor is still kind of gambling that they could arrive at the right moment and do a lot of damage. Or maybe they're just... Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. Yep. And it is unfortunate, though. Only 5 mutas, even though the Spire is a little cheaper. Feels like an odd amount to invest into it. But it is what it is, while also having to defend against the aggression. 5th base going to be denied, at least for now. Mutas will enter into the natural, but we do have at least a cannon. We actually have a cannon in every single base, so perhaps herO suspecting this style on this map from Reynor, for whatever reason. Oracles scout the incoming Roach Ravager attack, which is a bit more important. Only 5 probes go down to the mutas. herO's gonna make a Phoenix and a Fleet Beacon. I don't think he actually is having a super strong reaction to the possibility of more mutas, considering the mutas were in such low numbers. It's possible they're going into mass mutas, sure, but I feel like it's very unlikely. And you saw how many roaches and ravagers were actually built about to attack you, though they did pull back. I feel like this one phoenix was just in cases. Also to clear up the last remnants of the mutas. And the fleet beacon is more because we're on 4 bases. And we are going to get to that mothership. Hive is 80% done. Reynor's prepping the lurker den. It's on 4 bases, going now onto a 5th, 73 drones. That's super impressive. I like herO's position more, actually. herO is, yeah, down 50 supply, but it's, you know, ZVP. This is totally normal. Oh, whoa. Okay, Ling's almost getting us around. Soccer Zoo just blink out. herO was paying attention when I was not. The Lings are breaking down those rocks on the left side, though. It's another reason that you see them broken down by the person who owns them. But we'll get into that in a second. Stalkers blink aggressively into the roaches and ravagers, figuring it is just roaches and ravagers, and really not that many. They can do this with the help of the Void Ray, and the Void Ray is actually very helpful for this engagement. Archon comes in, more Stalkers, Oracle's pulsar beaming the entire time. And Reynor just took a fight that he probably didn't actually want to. Even a cheeky lift on a Ravager. Back to those Lings, however. So this is another reason you would want to break these down and want to secure this as a base so that you don't have a totally surprise run-by happen. herO catches it before the rocks are even broken down, though. So Reynor takes a bad fight. His run-by isn't going to work out. The rocks are still up. herO takes a 5th over onto the right corner. Will he ever take this? If he's not going to take it, he should scout this, though. It's a bit of a pylon or something. The herO has now divvied up his army. Stalkers on the left, rest of the army on the right. Reynor not quite at those lurkers, but forming them now should help against any multi-pronged aggression, but it's only 4 lurkers. herO's combining forces. This is going to be his first look at the lurkers, which held position, by the way, so a lot of damage done. herO goes, what the hell, man? Pulls away after taking so much damage. But without the lurkers, Reynor's army isn't that scary. herO will continue to roam around the edges of creep. Once again, Reynor going for the run-by does finally break down these rocks. No scouting pylon was built, and herO is going to regret that. His attention is entirely on the offensive. Gets those last mutas. Looking to get this base, and I guess he will. Reinforcements have arrived on the front lines, too, which means herO probably just warped in. Well, maybe not. More warp-ins do happen, and that's very important. Otherwise, this Ling Roach run-by was going to do a lot more damage. So far, both of them killing an equal number of workers. herO not allowed up the ramp, but is going to kill the hatchery. herO lost 14 probes, finally clearing out these roaches, but he has kept all 5 Nexus alive. Reynor back down to 4 bases, and of course, one of them is a half base. It's already mining out for sure. 2-1 to 2-1. herO working his way up to 3-2, however, and, you know, on shields as well, so more Archons, more gooder. Is he still not going to put anything over there? This is why herO, like, Pig's theory that herO intentionally lets units through sounds so tempting to believe. Because he does shit like this. But I, for one, don't actually think it's the case. But it makes me want to believe it. Like, what? You'd think you would try at least wall it. That would be my instinct, but not herO's. herO's like, yes, more Lings, perfect. Okay. As long as he always has room for a warp in, which he did then. Mothership, oh, Mothership recall into the natural. Oh, brutal, absolutely brutal. Reynor forced to reposition all those lurkers that were holding the chokes. Now they're going to be positioning into the Protoss army. It is 13 lurkers with their range. And they're just going to have to hold their own main ramp choke. Recall on the Nexus used to help out against the Lings before that goes takes down the Nexus. Not really a fear of that. Although they do have Adrenal. They only also have +1 melee. A little bouncing around going on. Reynor down to 3 bases. Has reestablished a 4th. 8 more probes went down, but herO is happily mining. Still off 62 probes. This is bad. This is bad. Reynor doesn't realize the mothership is just chilling and waiting for another recall. It is chilling. He could recall his entire army. He could recall more reinforcements somewhere. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no. Oh, Reynor. Nothing is scouting that. Literally nothing. I think this is a good idea. I was going to do something as close to a recall as there could have. Build a Nidus Worm. Lings try and get onto this 5th base as well, but warpins are still available. Hero does lose 6 probes. These are adrenal gland Lings, so they are pretty good. Yeah, needs more zealots. This Nexus will eventually recover. It'll eventually be okay. He's gonna go for the High Templar. Yep. I mean, one was gonna die no matter what. The other ones I think is supposed to be an Archon, but oh, more importantly, the recall did finally happen. Most of the army was recalled onto that mothership and now into the main base where Reynor can react, taking the high ground, not letting those lurkers up. So much technology is going to fall here, including the claws for the lurkers, so they won't be able to rebuild or remove. Nope, they're good actually. Adaptive Talons is done, but can they win this battle? That's so many lurkers. I feel like they actually might. But is there detection? That is the problem. There's no detection. There's no overseers. There's no spore. The lurkers catching the tail end of things outside of the mothership cloak range, but everything else is good to go. So aggressively going on top of the lurkers. God. I feel like the mothership... I feel like the lurkers were hitting something, right? Because the Archons were taken down, but anyway. Mothership finally out of cloak. 26 drones have died. At the 4th base, at the main. We could even harass the drones over here. Utter chaos. And Reynor has lost all of his technology. He has a Roachborn, Night's Room, and a Hive. And a spawning pool, surprisingly, but that's temporary. A wall of Zealots just buying further time. I mean, this was messy on either end, actually. Lurkers are still pretty good. Even with the Mothership Cloak. If they hit something, if there's something on the backside, they hit literally everything. Which I think is why the Archons went down. I'd have to recheck what actually happened in that battle. But, yeah, herO, like, kind of stood his ground, you know, courageously on top against that many lurkers. Still 16 of them alive. And did take his own losses. Mothership is still alive, and like I said, he was going to just go harass this 3rd base. Reynor mining off of about 1.5 bases at this point. herO still mining off of all of his. Lurkers, are they capable of winning a game all by their lonesome? Well, certainly not if herO is going to go into more air army. He's rebuilding a fleet beacon. That's called habit right there, because he wants a 2nd Stargate, I guess. And, sure. But the point is, he can make more capital ships. Vipers are now on the way, trying to duck the damn mothership out of the way, because this is obviously causing more problems than usual. Ling run by, killing probes in the natural, while herO looks to end this game. Once again, just jumping on top of the lurkers, figuring he's got a big enough army. This time there's absolutely detection. There's just not enough damage from the lurkers. Supplies look even, but I'm looking around, and where is Reynor's supply? 57 in army somewhere. I guess the Lings. Oh, there was lurkers going for the attack, actually, so there's some supply as well. Some Hydras that are going to try and desperately micro away from these Archons, but everything is dying on the side of Reynor. herO standing strong. Although it still is very chaotic. GG's. And I am going to take another look at that battle on the ramp. That was something. Mothership recall on this map might have to be very feared. Okay. Denies +3 missile, apparently. Okay. So the cloak is actually activated. There are 2 overseers coming now. Okay, so I think that's what happened. They just came once I... Yeah, that's what happened. Okay. So the overseers came literally as I was freaking out about the cloak. Okay, that's why they all died. But I was like, I can't believe he moved into the lurkers anyway. Like, yeah, he had cloak, but I was like, I don't know, I'd be expecting it to end anytime soon. And then overseers should be on the way, and that's exactly what happened. There might have also been some splash. I think until those overseers came, there actually wasn't any damage. Anyway, GG. herO won that 3-1 and advanced on in the contest. Well played. Hope you enjoyed it. Oh yeah, Vipers can't abduct motherships anymore. Yes. You're right. They can't abduct motherships anymore. So yeah. He'd have to... Well, he had a spire before it was killed. So he had to have built corruptors before the... So yeah, I mean... That's actually going to be so annoying. Yeah. Mothership should definitely abuse that.